What's up, guys? I'm Canisius, and this is my first ever, I should say, vlog on the work that I do. Most of you who don't know me, I'm the public relations officer for Senda Hill Town Council, and my job basically is to translate the products and services that Senda Hill Town Council offers to this community. So I'm right here in Mambo Mission. That is where our council offices are located. So the reason why I'm making this vlog actually is, I've tried in the past time, I've tried to create some kind of confrontation around the Constituency Development Fund, which we all know as CDF. So you might have seen maybe one of my TikTok videos.
So bagay akakalubiro ndebutuka tekweba fyati kalubiro fi umuguys antuminati umuguys alera pafya CDF pasaka so ndefu okuyangwa tilota twapera po CDF ama projects atukwete.
So after I created this video, I received a lot of comments from my friends, from my colleagues at work. Lambalera ndatala pena no pena. Guys, I wish I'm with you. Yeah. So the whole purpose of why I created this video is because I wanted, first of all, people to understand that there's such a thing as CDF, and it simply means Constituency Development Fund. So I am going to create what I'm calling Road to Success series, where I'll be actually trying to teach the community and the public to know all the processes, in terms of application for CDF projects, application for skills development bursary, and application for secondary school boarding bursary. So without even wasting time, let me just even pull up the presentation that I actually prepared. Okay, so guys, this is the Road to Success series. Thank you for joining me, and I would love for you to understand that this is basically based on the Constituency Development Fund and not anything else. I'll be discussing just the Constituency Development Fund. Okay, so as you can see in the left corner here, there is my name, which is Canisius Mushiwe, Public Relations Officer for Senda Hill Town Council. And one thing I would love to say is that this research is basically an extract from the CDF guidelines itself. Just what the government has said about CDF is what I will be presenting in this presentation. And basically I'll be covering topics on bursary application, loans application, business grants application, and everything that needs to be covered. So my job basically is just to make people understand how to apply for CDF. So stay with me, and I hope you enjoy this video. And anything else, any comment that you have, you should just drop it in the comment section, and I'll be able to respond in another episode. So let's go right into it. So simplifying CDF application. Here, what I'm trying to say is at the end of this series, you understand, number one, what CDF is. Number two, who is eligible to acquire CDF. Number three, what is Ward Development Committee, the most critical and the most important committee, in the CDF process, of application. Then, what are the CDF components? Then, what is CDF committee? So, what is CDF committee? Then, what are the CDF components? Then, we'll talk about how to apply for loans, how to apply for secondary school boarding bursary, how to apply for skills development bursary, then how to take part in community projects. Because abantu abengi tabayishibwa like bonfashe like what is CDF like nimpia shanje shakutupela then twakulira mayanda yesu oshakutupela twatwala abana besu kuma skulu otwa kuma holidays and so on and so there is a lot of talk around CDF, but most times people don't take time to just go through the CDF guidelines, which is open to the public actually, so that people might understand what this particular fund is all about. So, what is CDF? In episode 1, let's first tackle what CDF is, so that everyone can understand what this particular fund is about. So CDF is an acronym that stands for Constituency Development Fund. So once in a district, there might be a constituency where an elected official is the member of parliament, the MP. That's the constituency level. Then paliapo muvotera ba councillor mumawadi, that's the ward. So that's the distinction, and from its its name, it can be defined as this fund is funds allocated to a constituency to foster development. It's not a fund to give to a certain individual. No, akawonfiako kuma holiday, you use it for so and so, maybe to finish his home somewhere. CDF is purely for the development of a constituency. A constituency. So you might discover that maybe in Lusaka there are more than 2 constituencies. In let's say for Senga Hill, we have 1 constituency. So there are districts where there are more than 1 constituency. Okay. So according to the CDF guidelines, government of the Republic of Zambia wants development to start from the community and through the World Development Committee, which we are calling WDCs. This is being achieved. So I'm going to talk more about how this is being achieved. In this series, we are going to cover the process from down to, from below to up. That's the process that we are going to cover from the community. In short, from the community until to the point of, you get your CDF grant, and then you're warm and dry. You're home to start. You can start. Now let's go on the local community. The local community. We've understood that a constituency exists in a community. Once in a constituency, and the Mishiabantu, those are the thing we're calling a community. So, what is the responsibility now of this community? Because before we need to understand where we belong in terms of CDF. A community plays a very particular important role in CDF implementation. We all need to understand that. It plays a very important role. So we need to understand what a community is and its responsibility in execution of these CDF projects. So the community, number 1, will be responsible for participating in community meetings. So nga wikala mumushi umutulehita umushi wa nangu kuchanda emba mnomusenga he wikala kuchanda emba. You belong to a community, and in that chanda emba belongs to a ward. A ward, again, it belongs to a constituency. Those are the levels. Now, if I training from the ward, from the zone first of all, to the ward, from the ward to the constituency, from the constituency, to the district. So we need to understand our role. If you stay in Chandaemba, for instance, you must be participating in community meetings. Mufire mulelo ngana lyonzero kwa wama community meetings in terms to do with CDF, because that's the only way you're going to know about CDF. And that is your role as a community member. Pantu ngatamule sangwa muma meeting aya CDF owaaya ama projects yonse ali ekitika tamwakulayishibwa nangu kimu. So in short, one of the responsibility, it's not a command, but a responsibility. You know, a responsibility, you can either take it or abandon it. But in this case, participating in community meetings, it's one of the responsibility of the community as a collective to make sure that they identify community needs. You identify community needs. Inenga ndikala kukasama. Teti njishilesho mchandayemba mulechuola. Inenga ndikala kumpulungu. Teti njishile mchandayemba efo mulechuola. So it is your role and responsibility as a community in Chandayemba to make sure that you identify community needs. If you're mulefwaya, mushamulefu emisebo, mushamulefu amalaiti, mushamulefu efpatala, mushamulefu chonze chomulefwaya, community needs. It's your responsibility as community members in Chandayemba to make sure that you identify, kansha pakesebela ko iskulu, apa pakeseba mayanja, apa pakeseba imisebo. Then submitting proposals to the ward development committee through the zone. So what it means here is that ngamwaemona mwalole shat apa kutipave chipatala kwena chishinga mwalemba proposal kupitira muri wa zonal representative. That zonal representatives is a member of the what we are calling WDC. Remember, the WDC also, your councillor, your ward councillor is also a member. So meaning you are a collective. That's why you are being called a community. Mwele kala kulia kuine kumushuchanda enda. Muzono mnyenu mulya mwalemba proposal. Kwena pano pa zono tulefwa echipatala icha msango eno msango. Mwalemba mwapela wa WDC committee through the zone, your zonal representative. Then participating in project implementation when required. Participating in project implementation, you might be, as a community, you might be required. Maybe your voice is needed. Padi ikwena project. Nifinishe efe ba community bale muna. Kwena babikire kwefe. Kwena bachiteze. Kwena if as a community limbi. Kanshi tuatotela sana if as a community bese babikire hapa na mabwe ya kubika panshi na tukwata kwaya naye. That's your responsibility because it's creating a sense of ownership. You know, you own that thing. It's now yours as a community. If you feel chitikana kuma cheichi kula wato icheichi kuli ukukule afya kule community ila yafuilishako oyo what they call church members, because that's also a community. Church members mwaya mwamone fo mwingabikilishako mwamone bwino because that thing is yours. Chintu chenu mwamone po mwingachibika bwino nifine. Then monitoring implementation of CDF projects. You are free to monitor any CDF projects that is going on in the community. Mwaya pa project. Mwaya ipushawo chirenda shani. Ifukile pesa. Bushemule kula shani. Finishi mule bulishi. It's also a responsibility of the community. Then number 2, now we come to the ward development committee. So the responsibility of the ward development committee is providing a forum for dialogue and coordination on ward development issues. What this simply means is that it is the responsibility of the WDC committee to make sure that there is a forum for dialogue where people can meet, community members can discuss, and coordination on ward development issues. Coordination whereby they receive project proposals from the zonal representatives, and then they compile and submitting to the Constituency Development Fund Committee applications for projects, secondary boarding school, and skills development bursaries and empowerment projects. So it's now a responsibility of this ward development committee to make sure that these projects proposals from the ward development committee are taken further to the Constituency Development Committee. So that's the process. It started from the community suggests, oh, then from there, mwatwala kuli ba WDC. Ba WDC na bena ebale twala nomba kuli ba CDF committee. And identifying areas for capacity building within the ward. So apo bamona ba WDC okuna tushalirako. In Eastern Province balanda kuli umbuli, meaning tabeshi, like they need, some kind of form of intervention, some kind of form of training to see at all. Monitoring me, effort mufiri okulachita ni fine and the area fire tule bomba ifine. It's the responsibility of this committee to make sure that that capacity building within the ward is achieved. Preparing quarterly reports on development activities within the ward to the appropriate committee of the local authority. So kulabama reports by WDC like, oh, this is how this kind of thing is performing, or this is how this project is going, or abana twatwele kuma school boarding nyaba or baba noku. That report is sent to the relevant committee of the local authority. Local authority means ku council, like Panopasenga Hill Town Council. That's what it means. Then developing and maintaining a word-based database as guided by the local authority. Word-based database. Yakwebati mwaishwa database walera ndapo ni information. Mwaishwa to ama projects tukwete yanga nyaya. Ama zone tukwete yanga nyaya. Who are the zonal representatives? Nyaba. But WDC chair nyaba. So this ward development committee should have this database information as guided by the local authority, by council kuno. Then project implementation, management and monitoring. It's also a responsibility of the ward development committee to make sure that our projects are contractor pasite badekula buli enchito baberere kuna benaba ba ward development committee. So muno msenga amawadi twaishiba timwali bayali 10. Okay? So in each ward there is a ward development committee which is receiving projects from where the community projects or ward development committee. No, they are receiving these projects from the community. That should be clear. Then Constituency Development Fund Committee. So the Constituency Development Act number 11 of 2018 provides for the functions of the committee as follows. So ama functions like nangusho isho babeera ko ba Constituent Development Fund Committee ifinomba twamba okulandako to ensure that the compilation of proper records, returns and reports from the constituency. Obviously, from the constituency, they should, compile all the reports, the returns, and all the records, the projects, how many, wards are there. They should have that information and the reports, Then to receive and discuss annual reports and returns from the constituency. This is clear. My reports, they will sit as a committee to discuss, where are we going wrong? Can't you finish to Relufiania? Finish to Alabombela, Pusha community, finish the fire. This Constituency Development Fund Committee, CDF committee in short, this is one of its, role. And then to receive proposals for joint projects with other constituencies. So, Basenga Hill Town Council and Bambala Town Council, they can collaborate, for joint projects with other constituencies. They can collaborate and, implement a project. It's also allowed. Then deliberate on project proposals from the wards. This is where I wanted now to touch and talk more about it, because you remember that a project proposal began or started from the community. A community suggested that muno mu community mukyandayimba tulefu ayama projects mwatwala ward development committee. Ward development committee yaleeta nomba kuli CDF committee. Then bayikalirapo ba CDF committee, they talk, then develop and submit a project list to the local authority for onward transmission to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development for further approval. When you discuss over select okanshi to receive a project inangwati 50, then they sit and talk, because a project twalalanda pokuntanshi, but I just want to touch on it briefly. A project must have a component of, community benefit, a project that, benefits a community. So this CDF committee is the committee that determines if this project will be beneficial to this committee, to this constituency. This word, will it be beneficial? So now, how to benefit from CDF? Remember, this is the Road to Success series. How to benefit from CDF? There is a lot of benefits in CDF that even just an individual community member can appreciate, and benefit from. So let's go to the break. Then on the other side, we'll continue more and talk about, the benefits of CDF to the community.
The Constituency Development Fund, CDF, was first introduced to Zambia in 1995 as a means to encourage local development in rural and urban communities across the country.
Where the government has not attended to particular issues in a constituency, members of parliament came up with this particular initiative of a Constituency Development Fund. So it has from inception been a fund that was intended to attend to local issues, and by local I mean constituency-wide issues.
The original scope of the CDF was to cover local projects at the community level with an allocation amounting to 1.6 million kwacha per constituency. The main challenge was the size of the fund, which limited the scale and number of projects that could be undertaken in comparison to the development needs prevalent in the communities. In the 2022 Zambia National Budget, CDF saw an unprecedented increase in the size of funding and scope of its mandate. CDF has been increased to 25.7 million kwacha per constituency, and in the 2023 budget, it now sits at 28 million kwacha.
The effect of that is people or citizens are now able to aim higher in terms of what they can utilize the Constituency Development Fund for. When you look at the historical use of Constituency Development Fund, it used to be market shelters, mourners shelters at hospitals, mothers shelters at maternity wings of hospitals. It was these what you'd call comparatively smaller initiatives or projects that CDF used to address in the past. But now it has grown to the extent that CDF can now be used for road construction, for example, bridge rehabilitation, school construction, hospital construction. So the scope of work that CDF can now attend to has tremendously changed.
All right, so let's continue where we ended from. We were discussing now about how you as a community member mumuchandayembo mumwikala mwakwatamu ulubali lwashani muri CDF. How can you benefit muri CDF? Mwala benefit ashani muno muchandayemba mwikala mwala benefit ashani mwe wolimbi wa symposia bamtale mwikala muchandayemba mwala benefit ashani muri CDF. So let's go right in now. So first of all, how you're going to benefit through this CDF? You're going to look at the components of CDF. If you have a CDF, now groups of CDF by funding. CDF is funded through 3 components, namely secondary, boarding school and skills development bursary, youth, women and community empowerment component, and community projects component. So What this means is that iwe mutale wewikala mchandayemba mnamufa mutale mwikala mchandayemba, how are you going to benefit? You need to now put yourself in a category among this. You need to put yourself in a category, like where do you belong? Are you a secondary boarding school skills development beneficiary? Busheni weboka skulu waba boarding at a public school? Or are you a youth or a woman and you require empowerment in your community? Busheni webona mana ngushitata require empowerment uokwete myaka from 18 years to 35 years. Are you a youth? Or are you interested in community projects? So now, after you understand these categories, or Nevoka school, then you apply for secondary school and or skills development bursary. Skills development bursary, it's a skills development. So in technical schools, you know, school skills school, you need to ask very well. Some of them are TVET credited and CDF is able to sponsor you to that school. So you need to go through their courses, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. So you need to see as a youth, or pushaine panomfikire nemyaka nangu at 22 ushia ku school nchitashani, you apply what a skill, and that skill will elevate you. Remember, this is the Road to Success series. So you need to see that, oh, I need to apply for a skills development bursary under CDF. And that is how you're going to benefit, and that is how you're going to be successful.